Welcome to our next leadership tip, where we discuss some of the most pressing issues that you will face as a leader of men in your church and community. Today, we're going to address, how do you lead men who don't want to be led? What do you do when men have no interest in attending your men's ministry activities? So let me start by asking a really uncomfortable question. Why is it that the men in your church don't want to attend? As leaders, the easy temptation for us is to answer this question by pointing out the obvious lack of spiritual commitment that men have, or else they'd be showing up for everything. But let's be honest, there are many reasons why men aren't showing up, and the lack of spiritual commitment is really only one of those reasons. It's easy for us as leaders to judge the men that we're serving, but it's more difficult to find out what's really going on. For example, is it possible the men have no interest in attending because they're too busy trying to apply what they already know about in terms of being a follower of Jesus? Of course, as a leader, you might respond to that question by saying, it's still important for men to keep growing, and you're right. But we're going to come back to that thought in a few minutes. It's also possible that the men have no interest in attending because what you or myself are doing is simply not interesting enough for them to take time out of their schedule to attend the activity. Part of the reason why I'm not a fan of a monthly men's event is simply because it's so easy for us as leaders to lose the spark of creativity that's going to keep things interesting for a guy. Maybe you only have one age demographic in your men's ministry leadership team, and what you're really planning for the men in your church is something that's really only interesting for guys who are a lot like you. Maybe what you're doing is interesting, but your promotion of it isn't so interesting, and nobody's really motivated to attend. Whatever you're doing needs a well-rounded, well-planned out, well-thought-out strategy. Always remember, you are there to serve the men, and so discern how to best serve them while staying faithful to the mission of making disciples of Jesus. There's another reason that I've experienced where men simply don't want to attend events anymore. And this one, I think, is the most significant opportunity for you as a leader. Many men, they reach a point where they don't feel the need to attend anymore because they feel like they've learned everything that you have to teach them. And I would just say this, don't feel bad about that. It's actually not a negative. In fact, it's a positive that you could almost kind of graduate some men out of your men's ministry. But here's the opportunity for you. Instead of letting these men go, ask them to stay as coaches or mentors to other men. You see, when a men's ministry is only for the consumer, then you're going to have men rotate through all the time. But you will keep some men engaged by giving them an opportunity, giving them something to do where they can invest in the life of other men. This is such an incredible gift for you as a leader, but it's not something that just naturally happens. Most men are going to wait for you to ask them to do this. So make it part of your leadership culture. Discipleship is really a journey, and it requires activity and pauses for reflection and application. Your men's ministry needs to give men space to jump in and jump out so that they can accomplish these kinds of steps in their discipleship process and journey for their life. As the Bible teaches us, as a leader, don't grow weary in doing good, because in due season you're going to reap if you don't give up. Men do need to keep growing, you're right. And they need you to keep reminding them of how important this is. But they also need you as a leader to provide different paths and different rhythms to help them get there. It is so important for men to have access to both in-person and online tools that they can use depending on the season of life that they find themselves in. In our men's ministry leadership training and coaching, you're going to learn how to create these kinds of pathways and rhythms in your men's ministry. I want to encourage you to access this training and to also connect with a men's ministry leadership network near you where you can learn from other men's ministry leaders in your community. one final thought or comment on this topic. Discipleship is not only a journey, but it's a partnership. Just because men are too busy to attend your men's ministry activity does not mean that you are unable to influence their lives. As a leader, understand that there are other ministries in your church that are also influencing the lives of men. And that's good news. You don't have to do this alone, but you are partners with others in ministry to reach and to develop the men around you. So I want to say to you, just maybe take some time to encourage other leaders who are also leading other forms of ministry that are helping to reach men. As a men's ministry leader, send a text or a note of encouragement to thank those leaders for all that they're doing to partner with you in investing in men's lives. The discipleship of men is not exclusively for the context of men's ministry. It's an entire church initiative. And as you continue to invest in men's lives, I want to encourage you just to keep going. Not every man's going to come, but every man who does come is a man that God wants you to invest in. So do it well. God bless you as you continue to serve him and serve the men in your church.